Another day, another 2017 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory cold start with an SC Project CRT slip-on exhaust. Hi, I'm Chad, and welcome to another episode of Mediocre Wheelies in MotoGP. Yes, that's right. We are going to talk about the most recent MotoGP race at Motoland Aragon this past weekend, and perhaps pop a couple wheelies in virtual reality, of course, where it is safe to do so and there are no laws against it. So if you haven't seen the most recent MotoGP race, just happened this past weekend on Sunday, September 18th, 2022. Spoilers ahead, you've been warned. Go watch it, come back, let's talk about it, because there were a lot of interesting things that happened very quickly in this race, and some not so quickly. So, let's address the elephant in the room. What happened with Marc Marquez, Fabio Quartararo, and Taka Nakagami? Because that was one of the craziest things I have seen in the 8 years I've been watching MotoGP. And I might have a controversial opinion on this, I'm not really sure. But as unfortunate as it is, and as sorry as I am for both Fabio and for Taka, I know they were both hurt at varying degrees, but it's racing. What happened with Fabio was just very unfortunate, poor timing, him and Marc being too close together and Marc having a moment. He started 13th on the grid and worked his way up to 5th by turn 2. Now, unfortunately, he was pushed in a little too hard, had a moment on the rear, bit of a slide, bars definitely crossed, and Fabio was just right behind him since he had just been overtaken by Marc. And when you start sliding, especially big like that, you stop accelerating. And Fabio continued to accelerate because he was on the gas too, and also pushing to try to get his position back and mitigate any chance of his championship lead being shortened. But unfortunately, Marc had his moment, stopped accelerating at the same rate that he was, and just, that was it. It was a racing incident. Now, it was a real bummer how adversely that affected Fabio, because he got lobbed. His bike flipped over him. That was terrifying to watch. And somehow he was able to walk away from that, like literally got up and walked away. Mind-boggling. The only injuries he suffered were some lacerations to his chest, abrasions, basically a little bit of a friction burn from his race suit against his chest, which, you know, probably could have been reduced a bit, if not entirely eliminated, had he been wearing a base layer. But we know Fabio, he's Fabio. He doesn't like base layers. Now, this was an extra bummer for my girlfriend Hillary because she is a Fabio Quartararo fan. She was devastated. And as much as she likes seeing a shirtless Fabio underneath his race suit, even she agrees he should probably wear a base layer going forward. So luckily he's okay overall and is going to make it out to Twin Ring Motegi this coming weekend. But as far as his get out of jail free card in terms of championship points, it's gone. He cannot afford to find himself in another situation like that this season. Now, let's talk about Nakagami, because that was just a compounded incident from the initial collision between Fabio and Marc. When Fabio hit Marc's bike, he dislodged something, either his tire hugger, his belly pan, some piece of bodywork that was rubbing on the tire of the bike. Marc talked about this and said that the bike was pulling one way and was not accelerating or really doing anything like it should. And you know, he's still out there on track, and this is only a couple corners after the incident with Fabio. There's just a pack of riders all bunched up together, super close racing, and unfortunately Nakagami happened to come up on Marc. Marc again could not accelerate at a normal rate for a MotoGP bike, and Nakagami looked like he tried to avoid him, clipped into Marc, and then I think Marc, just out of reaction, kind of tried to stop his bike from moving around, which in turn bumped Nakagami again and just sent him down the track too. And I gotta say, that one was especially scary because of all the traffic around him. It is incredible that everybody was able to safely avoid him, especially Maverick Vinales, who came the closest. That was just as if Fabio's incident, not a minute before that, was terrifying enough. That was just, I can't even. That was a heart in throat few minutes. Luckily on the whole, Nakagami's okay as well. Again, huge bummer that he wasn't able to see his race through just for that reason, but as sad as it is part of racing. I again don't think that was any malicious intent from Marc at all. It was just a racing incident, as unfortunate as it was. Nakagami seems to be okay overall. I did see a photo, I think on Instagram, or Hillary told me that she saw a photo on Instagram of him with a cast on his wrist. So, not sure if he's going to make it to his home Grand Prix, which is an extra bummer. But the important thing is he's walking away and he's going to be able to ride a motorcycle again. Maybe not next weekend, but the weekend after that or a couple weeks. So, very relieved he and Fabio are both okay, and nothing else transpired after that. Marc was able to get off the track. So now that we've covered that bit of drama, let's talk about the race. So, Enea Bastianini took an incredible win. Last lap pass. Nothing Pecco could do about it after leading the entire race, which was incredible. Pecco is so good when he's on. But it just blows my mind the way that Bastianini is able to ride that Ducati and the way he is able to manage his tires. To have that kind of end of race pace, that last lap pace, when everybody else is just fading back behind he and Pecco. It's amazing. And of course, that's also a testament to Pecco's ability to manage tire wear. They are truly two top-notch motorcycles that were in a league of their own this weekend. And it was so much fun to watch them. So hats off to Bastianini. That was an incredible win and some excellent battle with Pecco. Looking forward to more of that in the future. Next, let's talk about Jack Miller, because Pecco started on pole, Jack started right behind him. Jack faded off a bit, kind of quickly, only a few laps into the race. He was able to hold second position. I'm not sure what happened with his tires or just his rhythm, but he just kind of slowly dropped back, ended up finishing in 5th place. So, still a decent result. Not what he's hoping for, and honestly not what I'm hoping for him. I really like Jack Miller. I'd love to see him win another race on the Ducati, at least one, before he makes his move over to KTM at the end of this season. But he's had a pretty great last few races too. Podium finishes. He's been looking good. So, obviously could have gone a lot worse, but it is what it is. Bastianini started in 3rd, ended up winning the race. And then Aleix Espargaro started in 4th after coming up out of Q1 on Saturday, which was very impressive, and ultimately finished 3rd. So, very, very, very happy to see Aleix back on the podium. That is awesome, and as an Aprilia fanboy, I have to be happy for him. I've said this in other MotoGP vlogs that I've done over this season, but Aleix has really grown on me and definitely become one of my top favorite riders. I think I just never paid as much attention to him as I should have in the past, but it's very clear to see that he is an incredible rider, always has been, and has finally got a good bike underneath him and is doing what he knows he can do with it. So very happy for him, and that also helps him out a lot in the championship. Speaking of, what does this mean for the championship now? Fabio went into this weekend with a 30-point lead. Hence the get out of jail free card, which I describe as a situation where a rider has enough points where they can DNF and their next closest rival can win the race, and they will still be ahead in the championship point. I.e., they have to have at least a 26-point lead. And that was Fabio going into this weekend, but again, after that super unfortunate event with Marc, his lead has been cut to 10 points. And additionally, Aleix being on the podium has brought him back into the mix too. Fabio is starting to kind of walk away slowly compared to everybody else in the field, but Pecco's had incredible results the last few races, won 4 in a row, second place at this one, so that's 5 races in a row in the top 2 positions. And Aleix's consistency early on in the season and throughout many of the other races is really proving to have been exceptionally valuable, because now he's only 17 points behind Fabio, 7 points behind Pecco. And let's not forget about Bastianini, who's in 4th place, just sitting there, not too far behind either. So we had a very exciting point in the season, especially because we have so many races coming up. 4 races in the next 5 weeks. So the championship is getting close to winding down, and will get only more exciting. And aside from this championship, the grids are looking very interesting for next season. Seen some moves. Joan Mir going to be teammate of Marc Marquez next year at Repsol Honda. Alex Rins, who's going to be teammates with Taka Nakagami, who he does not seem to be very fond of. Alex Marquez moving to Gresini Ducati. Pol Espargaro going to the new Gas KTM team that was formerly Tech 3. And then Miguel Oliveira and Raul Fernandez moving over to the new RNF Aprilia team that is rising from the ashes of the satellite Yamaha team that will be ending their run with Yamaha bikes at the end of the season. But speaking of the RNF Aprilia team and the fact that they're still on Yamahas, Cal Crutchlow had an awesome race, considering how long it's been since he's been on a MotoGP bike. He's filling in for Davi, who of course retired at the last Grand Prix. It was his last one at Misano just 2 weeks ago. So kudos to Cal, impressive riding and way to stay in peak physical condition to be able to ride a MotoGP bike at pace for 21 laps with little notice. But yeah, that's about all I got for this one. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would sincerely appreciate a gentle little click of the like button. And if you consider subscribing for more motorcycling content, discussion, and adventures like this. Drop a comment below. How do you feel about the championship shakedown? What are your thoughts on the incident between Marquez, Fabio, and Nakagami? Do you agree with my assessment, or do you disagree? Let's keep it friendly though, down in the comments below. But thanks again so much for watching, and I'll hope to catch you in the next one. Until then, later.